Hello everyone, let's talk about the Hearth book today. So let's talk about magnetism, the counter-rotating fields of magnetism. This is the form that magnetism takes. Magnetism produced by your heart, just like it's produced by the core of the earth to produce the electromagnetic field. What's happening is the energy is right turning and it's red as it swirls out, that's radiation, and it's blue or left turning as it goes in, that's centripetal convergence. This is the top-down view of the Milky Way galaxy at the top right, and here we have the side view of the Milky Way galaxy. Notice these torus fields shooting out the top and out the bottom. So the Milky Way has a north and south pole. It is a disk. The Milky Way is shooting out millions of tons of hydrogen above and below. So not only is the Milky Way attracting at the sides, but it's shooting out and expanding from the top and bottom. The same way, Earth is this disk here, and instead of just being one toroidal field, it's a giant infinite plane, the Earth, with many torus fields just like the Milky Way galaxy. This is how magnetism works. There has to be a plane of inertia separating the north and south pole. Your heart is the plane of inertia separating the crown chakra and root chakra, which is the north and south pole. The energy is swirling out of the top of your head into your root, and out of your root into your crown, in and out like this. The red lines are going out, the blue lines are going in. And it's happening on both north and south poles. This magnet here has two disc magnets on each side of it. So not only do magnets stick to the top and bottom, but they also stick to the sides. Because what you have is the donut above and the donut below. These are the two mid pressures. The energy goes out of the top, into the center, out of the bottom, into the center. Repelling upward and repelling downward, inward at the sides is how you get the plane of inertia. And now there's a high pressure force vector that goes out of the top into the bottom and out of the bottom into the top. But you see you have a plane of inertia and a north and south pole. You have energy being repelled out of the north, repelled out of the south, attracted into the north, attracted into the south. That means energy is simply swirling out of the north into the south, out of the south into the north. There's a mid pressure which comes out of the north and doesn't make it past the center, out of the south and doesn't make it past the center. So you have two mid pressures and two high pressures. A north mid pressure which goes out of the north into the center because it doesn't go past the center, and it goes out the south, doesn't go past the center, into the center. If you know how magnetism works, that's what makes this possible. So basically there is a high north pressure that goes out of the north and swirls into the south, and there is a high pressure that swirls out of the south into the north. But there's also a north mid pressure and a north south pressure, and that's what creates the plane of inertia, or the plane of Earth itself. North mid pressure, south mid pressure, plane of inertia. North mid-pressure, south mid-pressure, plane of inertia. This is why Saturn has flat rings. And because of these mid-pressures, I was able to keep these disc magnets on each side all the way around this block magnet. Our hearts are the plane of inertias that separate our north and south pole. This is why the Milky Way galaxy is a disk, because it's being squished by the two mid-pressures. You can't forget about the two mid-pressures. Yes, there's two high pressures. Earth and heart are spelled the same because they are both the plane of inertias within their own magnetic fields. The torus pattern holds the key to a world that works for everyone. See, the inside of the torus is a hyperbola, or an hourglass shape, which you see at the bottom of a black widow. It's the pole, but it's also the árbol. So your magnetic field doesn't just come out of the north into the south. This is probably one of the only books in the world that has the true geometry of magnetism. Your magnetic field, the Earth's field, Milky Way galaxy, Saturn, all the planets are torus fields. When you create the Merkaba, you have two mid-pressures and two high pressures. So it looks like this. That's your atoms, and that's how a magnet works. Basically, an atom is a tiny magnet, and a magnet is a giant atom. So what each atom is doing is what the entire magnet is doing. Here is an apple, top view, cut in half. You have a star shape, it's the toroidal field. Sideways, up top, you also have the toroidal field. And this is what your atoms are. See, a magnet just has each of the atoms lined up. So then the entire magnet is a giant atom. When the atoms are not lined up, then the magnet is no longer a magnet. It doesn't attract or repel. So before and after the magnet becomes a magnet, it weighs exactly the same. It's the same in quantity. It just changes in quality because you're lining up the atoms. That's what makes a magnet have energy. So when Einstein said energy equals mass times constant squared, actually free energy equals you lining up your atoms and becoming a magnet. You will know the torus, and the torus will set you free. Look at the flat Earth over here. And look at Nikola Tesla's Wardenclyffe Tower. Earth is the plane of inertia within its own magnetic field. It's repelling, which is the sun radiation, and it's attracting, which is the moon gravitation. Nassim Haramein said the strongest evidence of the fractal nature of our universe is the fact that people come out of other people. You have infinite ancestors behind you, and you have infinite generations ahead of you. The Egyptian sarcophagus, there was a coffin inside of a coffin inside of a coffin. The more in you go, the smaller it gets. And the more out you go, the bigger it gets. This is the golden spiral.
Right brains, religion left is simply a scientist. Integrate them both, and there goes enlightenment. You'll change forever, no longer living a life of sin. Our bodies are meant vessels for the gods that live in.